Berapa lama nih persiapannya sama latihannya kira-kira kalau gue tahu?
Kalau nggak salah aku itu udah mulai latihan dari hari Selasa, jadi sekitar 4 hari.
Wah, keren juga ya. Sejak kapan kamu minat sama kegiatan ini?
Kalau buat kaligrafinya aku baru minat akhir-akhir ini, tapi kalau buat menggambarnya aku udah minat dari TK.
Masya Allah. Wow, that's great. That's really great. Kira-kira siapa nih yang memotivasi kamu untuk semangat dan siap mengikuti lomba ini?
Kalau yang motivasi aku itu sebenarnya tidak aku sendiri, tapi aku dapat support dari keluarga.
Masya Allah. Ada prestasi lain nggak kira-kira yang perlu kamu raih selain prestasi ini?
Ada, aku pernah lomba modeling dan aku juga pernah lomba menggambar.
Wih, keren juga ya. Kalau dapat kesempatan untuk lomba lagi nih, kira-kira mau ikut lagi nggak?
Pastinya mau.
Wih, terima kasih banyak sudah mengikuti tanya jawab dari kami. Terima kasih atas waktunya dan tetap dan terus semangat ya.
Terima kasih.
Halo Kak, boleh perkenalkan namanya siapa dan prestasi apa yang telah Kakak raih?
Halo semuanya, nama aku Kanisa Edita. Aku mendapat penghargaan sebagai the Best Vice President of Finance dalam kompetisi Regional Student Competition.
Keren banget. Gimana nih Kak, perasaan Kakak setelah meraih kejuaraan tersebut?
Perasaan aku selalu menangkan dan mendapat penghargaan dari dalam prestasi.
Wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone.
First of all, let us give thanks to God who has given us all blessing and help so that we can meet to the podcast. Let's also not forget the salawat and salam to our great Lord, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Before starting the program, it would be nice for me to introduce myself to all of you first. My name is Muhammad Firan Ghazi from 11th Pioneer, and I will be one of the hosts for today's podcast along with my partner.
And I'm Rashid Amin Tumbol from 11th Pioneer who will be hosting to this podcast as well.
To the Honorable Principal of Senior High School of Plaspegari Cibinong, to the Honorable English teachers of Senior High School of Plaspegari Cibinong, to the Honorable all teachers of Senior High School Plaspegari Cibinong, to the Honorable parents who are watching this podcast, and to the beloved friends who are watching and participating in this podcast. Welcome back to Pesat Literation.
Hello everyone, back again to Pesat Literation podcast show. How are you all? Hope you all in a happy state.
Right, before we start, do you all know what exactly Pesat Literation is?
I don't think everyone knows what Pesat Literation is. Can you explain?
Of course, I will explain what Pesat Literation is to all of you. Pesat Literation is a podcast show about presenting a book that has been read by Senior High School Plaspegari Cibinong students. The books are varied. It can be novels, it can be about education, it can be about sports, it can be about health, it can be about psychology, and it can also be about history and so much more.
Wow, that sounds very useful. I'm very curious about the book that will be present by the group on today's podcast.
Yeah, I'm very curious about that too.
Today's podcast starts with a presentation from group 1 who will present a book they entitled
The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Care. So, without further ado, let's start today's podcast. So please, welcome Group 1.
Hey, welcome to Group 1 presentation. Today we are going to discuss about philosophy and chill, where we will break down life's biggest lesson in a way that actually makes sense. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Alia, and today we are talking about The Subtle Art of Not Giving Care by Mark Manson, the book that teaches us how to stop caring about the things that don't matter.
Yeah, because let's be real, most of us waste too much weight, energy, and stuff that shouldn't have to be stressed us out.
So today we are giving you 8 life-changing lessons from this book in a way that's easy to remember and actually useful.
So we are moving into the first chapter, which is don't try. First of all, success doesn't come from endless effort, but from being honest with yourself and focusing on what truly matters. Charles Bukowski becomes successful not because he tried to be a winner, but because he embraced his flaws. Next slide. Yeah. Society pressures us to always be positive. Next slide. Sorry. Next slide again. Okay. True happiness comes from caring about the right things and letting go of the rest. Alright, so the first stage is stop trying so hard.
Wait, what? That sounds like a bad advice.
I know, but hear me out. Manson says that more way we chase happiness, the more we feel that we don't have it.
Like when you are trying too hard to be cool and it just makes you look awkward.
Exactly. Instead of forcing things, let's be real about what actually matters to you. Happiness isn't something you chase. It's what happens when you focus on what actually matters.
Next slide, please. So we move to the chapter 2, or
Which is
happiness is a problem. Happiness is not something you find. It's a side effect of solving meaningful problems. Struggles are part of life, and avoiding them makes things worse. The story of Buddha illustrates that both extreme luxury and extreme suffering don't provide meaning. So stop running from problems and choose struggles that are worth it. Next up is stop expecting life to be easy.
okay, yeah. Because problems never go away. When you solve one, another will pops up.
So instead of wishing for no problems, pick problems that are worth it. Like, would you rather have the stress of 9 to 5 job or the stress of running your own business?
Oh, that's deep. Basically, life series a better problem, not no problems.
Next slide, please.
Okay, so we are going into the next slide, which is the chapter 3. You are not special. Thinking you are special can lead to unrealistic expectation. A whole generation was raised to believe they are amazing, but reality doesn't work that way. Real self-worth comes from facing challenges, not avoiding them. Failure and struggles are normal and necessary for growth. So this one is a little spicy. You're not special.
That's things.
But it's actually a good thing when you stop believing you're some unique expectation. You won't feel entitled to be an easy life.
Right. If everyone struggles, then struggling is normal. Instead of thinking, why is this happening to me? Just accept that struggle is part of the deal.
Once you accept that, you stop wasting energy feeling sorry for yourself and start actually doing something about it.
Next slide, please. So the chapter 4 is you are always choosing. You cannot control everything, but you can control how you reaction. So next up, take responsibility even when it's not your fault.
That one sounds good, but unfair.
It does, but think about it. If your house gets ruined, it's not your fault. But if you don't take responsibility for what happened next, like securing your home, you stay powerless.
So it's not about blame, it's about control.
Exactly. When you take responsibility, you take control of your life.
Alright, let's next into the next chapter, which is chapter 5. You're wrong about everything, but so am I. Being too sure of yourself can block growth and learning. The smartest people question themselves and stay open to change. Accepting uncertainty helps us to see things from a better perspective. So this one though, you're probably wrong about a lot of things.
Wait, me? Never?
But seriously, Master says we should assume we are wrong about everything and keep learning.
Yeah, because if you think you already know everything, you stop growing.
Exactly.
Next slide, please. Chapter 6.
Chapter 6.
Failure is the way forward. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's a part of success. The most successful people have failed the most because they kept trying. Taking small steps, even when you are unmotivated, builds momentum and leads to success. So the next tip is fail more.
Huh? That sounds like another bad idea.
No, Manson says failure is not the opposite of success. It's a part of success.
Oh, so instead of being afraid of failing, we should see it as a proof that we are learning, right?
Exactly. If you're never failing, you are probably not trying hard enough.
Okay. So let's move on into the chapter 7, which is the importance of saying no. Chapter 7. Saying no to what doesn't matter makes room for what does. Boundaries create trust and better relationship. True freedom isn't about endless choice, it's about committing to the right one. So this one is very simple but hard. Say no more often.
Oh, that's hard, but you don't want to disappoint people.
I get it, but every time you say yes to something unimportant, you say no to something that actually matters.
So basically, don't be afraid to disappoint people if it means protecting your own peace.
That's what I mean.
So next, moving to the last chapter or chapter 8, and then you die. We are all gonna die, so why stress over unimportant things? Instead of viewing it, use it as motivation to live fully. And root ego, appreciate life and make your time count. And the final time, it's you're going to die.
Well, that's uplifting.
But seriously, when you remember that life is short, you stop wasting time on stuff that doesn't matter.
So like stressing out social media, fix friend, or trying to impress people?
Yes, that's right, Rahel. If we are all gonna die anyway, we might as well focus on what actually makes life meaningful.
So it's better to pick your struggles, take responsibility, embrace failure, say no, and remember, you don't have to care about everything. So that's all our presentation from this book. Hope these tips will work and see you next time.
Okay, thank you, good one. A very interesting book, right?
Yes, of course, it is a very interesting book.
Okay.
As I mentioned earlier.
Okay, as I mentioned earlier, we are not in the Q&A session, so those of you who want to ask a question are very welcome. You can put your question in the comment box of the live stream.
Oh, yes. I'm also curious about some things, let's just say. Say, both of you, what made you specifically to choose about this specific book? Why can't it be any other book though? Why does it have to be this?
Okay, so for me itself, people have their own preference to what kind of book they want to read, right? For me personally, I not really often to read some book, and I personally prefer to read the book that is about the self-improvement or physiological. So it would be more like relatable to me as a human being. Like I need some tips or like what you say, tips or a preference to what should I do or what should I thought about. Like based on this book, I also like learning a lot about the life things and about the improvement things about myself itself. So that's why I choose this book.
I see. Let's just say that's very interesting. That's indeed very interesting. Right. So, do you have any question you can give to
I
them?
have a question for you guys. What part of this book that you like the most?
You want me up. For
Yes.
me, the one favorite chapter from this book is chapter 4. You are always choosing like when I read the text from this book, like I realize many content from this book is related for my life. And the next chapter, that one my favorite is the importance of saying no. Because like saying no to what doesn't matter makes room for what does.
I see. I love every part of this book, so I make the conclusion about this book from the PPT. But the most thing that I always remember until now is you cannot control what people think about you, but you can control yourself and what you're gonna do to all. So that's just a biggest lesson that I learned from this book, and it would be change my life to be a better version of. That's it.
That's a very interesting answer. Alright, so then let's move on to the question from our YouTube comments. Right, so a question from Jasmine from 11th Pioneer.
Okay.
What are some things in your life that you care about but shouldn't? How can you begin to let go of them?
Maybe I will answer the Jasmine question. So, I care too much about what people think of me on social media, and I constantly check for likes and comments, which makes me anxious. And to let go of this, I can set boundaries, like limiting time on social media and reminding myself that my self-worth is not tied to others' approval.
If it's for me, I prefer to say that think too much about something that already in the past. Maybe something that if in that time I thought too much about something that what should I do, or should I do this or should I do that? It's so useless. It's so useless and it's so useless, and I think like everything in the past is just something that we cannot change about. So just don't think it too much and just think about what you're gonna do in the future. That's it.
See, that's a good answer, I must say. Right, so next question from this is from Mr. Nasuha. Is this also conveyed in this book? Like, what is actually conveyed? How is the materials also conveyed in this book? How are these implemented among teenagers who are, let's just say, fragile, giving up easily, and are prone to confusion?
For me, it would be based on what we will think about it itself. That's why we are here to giving a presentation about this book, to give a little bit tips to them so they don't get fragile easily, or they just get unmotivated easily. That's why we thought we're giving a thought that life is not really that hard. We can actually chill in our life and doing our life, not really that stressing out unnecessary things. So that's why I want to giving these 8 tips to all of the teenagers outside. Me, Alia, and all of our friends
why we're here. That's it.
See, that's very interesting. A very interesting answer. Right. So let's just. I have another question though. To be completely honest, like in the book, the premise was basically some sort of way on how to make yourself a bit more, let's just say, not caring about the negative things that people said or maybe people do to you. Can you give a specific example of what exactly counts as a negative things for people's minds?
Okay. It is actually very relatable about what Alia ever says once. She said that for the example things that she giving care too much is about her social media. In social media, we found a lot of negative comment about ourselves, our family, or maybe just our environment, right? And that's the things that I think it's not really. I'm sorry. I mean, like that's the thing that very relatable to this book because that's one of the example of we shouldn't have really care about the things that, for example, so negative things or negative comment from other people that don't know about our life exactly.
See, well, it would seem that the question that I've just asked is suddenly the last question in this podcast. So yeah, I think that's all from Group 1. See, I hope the presentation from Group 1 can be useful for all of us who's watching this podcast.
Okay, so this all from us as the host of the podcast. I'm Rashid Abdul and my partner
Muhammad Firhan Ghazi. Goodbye everyone. See you next time.
Jadi kali ini kita akan tanya jawab sama siswa-siswi berprestasi dari sekolah kita nih. Boleh kenalan dulu nggak sama penonton namanya siapa dan prestasinya?
Halo semua, kenalin nama aku Aidi Yasa. Dan kemarin itu aku dapet juara 2 lomba panjang di salah satu organisasi Bekasi.
Wih, gimana perasaannya setelah meraih juara tersebut?
Alhamdulillah kayak ngerasa seneng banget dan bangga sama diri aku sendiri.
Berapa lama nih persiapannya sama latihannya kira-kira kalau gue tahu?
Kalau nggak salah aku itu udah mulai latihan dari hari Selasa, jadi sekitar 4 hari.
Wah, keren juga ya. Sejak kapan kamu minat sama kegiatan ini?
Kalau buat kaligrafinya aku baru minat akhir-akhir ini, tapi kalau buat menggambarnya aku udah minat dari TK.
Masya Allah. Wow, that's great. That's really great. Kira-kira siapa nih yang memotivasi kamu untuk semangat dan siap mengikuti lomba ini?
Kalau yang motivasi aku itu sebenarnya diri aku sendiri, tapi aku dapat support dari keluarga aku.
Masya Allah. Ada prestasi lain nggak kira-kira yang perlu kamu raih selain prestasi ini?
Ada, aku pernah lomba modeling dan aku juga pernah lomba menggambar.
Wih, keren juga ya. Kalau dapat kesempatan untuk lomba lagi nih, kira-kira mau ikut lagi nggak?
Pastinya mau.
Wih, terima kasih banyak sudah mengikuti tanya jawab dari kami. Terima kasih atas waktunya dan tetap dan terus semangat ya. Halo Kak, boleh perkenalkan namanya siapa dan prestasi apa yang telah Kakak raih?
Halo semuanya, nama aku Kanisa Edita. Aku mendapat penghargaan sebagai the Best Vice President of Finance dalam kompetisi Regional Student Competition.
Keren banget. Gimana nih Kak, perasaan Kakak setelah meraih kejuaraan tersebut?
Perasaan aku setelah memenangkan dan mendapat penghargaan dari dalam prestasi ini, aku senang banget karena perjuangan aku selama beberapa bulan terakhir itu akhirnya terbayarkan.
Masya Allah. Berapa lama nih Kak persiapan sama latihannya kira-kira?
Persiapan aku dalam mengikuti lomba ini itu sekitar 3-4 bulan.
Lama juga ya Kak berarti ya?
Iya betul.
Kalau boleh tahu Kak, Kakak dari kapan nih minat sama kegiatan ini?
Aku minat kegiatan ini itu dari 3-5 bulan sebelum lomba ini karena aku disosialisasikan oleh guru ekonomi.
Wah, lama juga ya selama tadi latihannya ya? Kira-kira ada nggak Kak siapa atau apa yang memotivasi Kakak untuk semangat dan siap mengikuti lomba ini?
Hal yang memotivasi aku itu yang pertama teman-teman satu tim aku, dan kedua guru dan mentor-mentor yang membimbing aku selama persiapan lomba.
Wow, very supportive. The teamwork, yes. Kakak ada prestasi lain nggak ya selain prestasi ini?
Sebelumnya aku juga pernah memenangkan dan mendapat penghargaan dalam kompetisi lomba silat dan lomba poster nasional.
Wow, that's amazing.
Kalau dapat kesempatan untuk ikut lomba lagi, kira-kira kakak mau ikut nggak?
Mau banget dong.
Karena dengan mengikuti lomba itu melatih kita untuk memiliki jiwa saling kompetitif.
Wow, that was great. Thank you so much Kakak for joining us today. Semangat terus ya Kak.
Terima kasih.
Nah, Kak boleh perkenalan dulu dan lomba apa yang Kakak berhasil raih atau prestasinya?
Halo, nama aku Jawarga dari Bangsa. Aku juara lomba dari Best Gamification Literation of Creative Idea yang diadakan oleh University.
Berarti ini berhubungan dengan IT ya Kak ya?
Iya betul, berhubungan dengan IT.
Gimana nih Kak perasaannya setelah meraih juara tersebut?
Kalau perasaannya setelah meraih juara tersebut sih senang ya tentunya ya, karena ini lomba yang benar-benar kita pengenin, kan berhubungan dengan IT dan game juga, itu lomba passion aku.
Berarti senangnya dari passion akhirnya berpenghasilan.
Iya betul.
Berapa lama nih Kak kalau boleh tahu persiapannya kira-kira?
Kalau persiapannya sih sekitaran 1 bulan ya, dari pembuatan desainnya, lalu perancangannya itu 1 bulanan. Terus setelah pengumuman finalisasi 10 besar, kita latihan presentasi karena kita mempresentasikan hasil karya rancangan game tersebut di sekitaran 1 bulan lah.
Wah, berarti itu termasuk cepat atau lama nih Kak?
Kalau buat rancangan ini sih termasuk sedang-sedang lah.
Keren. Kakak udah dari kapan nih Kak minat sama soal game dan pembuatan game begini Kak?
Kalau pembuatan game sih dari kelas 2 SMP ya. Tapi kalau buat suka main game ini dari SD dan kecil emang udah suka main game. Terus mulai fokus ke pembuatan game ini udah dari SMA ini, karena udah ada bapak society-nya nih untuk menuju pembelajaran gitu lah. Kayak kita udah ada tempat buat kita belajar pembuatan game ini.
Wah, keren banget ya, dari suka main game akhirnya bisa bikin game sendiri.
Iya.
Keren banget. Kira-kira siapa nih Kak? Apakah ada siapa atau mungkin ada yang memotivasi Kakak untuk semangat dan siap mengikuti lomba ini Kak?
Yang pastinya sih orang tua ya, karena orang tua selalu support apapun yang aku pengen aku ikutin. Terus yang kedua ada teman-teman dari organisasi, ada khususnya dari RPL sendiri, ada pembina RPL, ada Kader yang selalu support dan kasih masukan atas apapun yang aku lakuin. Ada teman-teman juga yang udah ngebantuin, terutama teman Kader itu udah ngebantuin membuat PT. Terus ada teman-teman dari kelas juga udah kasih support buat selalu maju ke depan, buat semangatin terus saat lomba, dan khususnya buat wali kelas ini udah selalu tanya saat lomba terus bagaimana hasilnya lancar atau enggak.
Wah, berarti banyak banget ya bantuan dari supportnya ya. Wah, jadi terharu deh. Kakak ada prestasi lain nggak selain prestasi dari lomba ini?
Kalau aku sih nggak tahu ya ini termasuk prestasi atau enggak. Tapi menurut aku, apapun hasilnya itu menurut aku prestasi. Aku salah satu siswa yang menjadi karya tulis yang terbaik di tahun 2022, dan menurut aku itu udah masuk sebuah prestasi.
Keren banget, karya tulis ilmiah di pusat ya?
Iya.
Oke, terima kasih banyak Kakak telah mengikuti sesi tanya jawab dari kami. Terima kasih atas waktunya dan semangat selalu ya Kak.
Iya, selamat.
Kak, boleh kenalan dulu dan prestasi apa ya Kak raih?
Halo, perkenalkan nama saya Rai Kandiani. Saya meraih juara media di lomba LKBB Candu Nusantara, juara utama 1, dan juara umum di lomba LKBB Person.
Wih, keren ya, tepuk tangannya dong. Gimana nih Kak perasaannya setelah meraih juara tersebut?
Tentunya bangga banget, senang juga bisa meraih ini ya, piala buat sekolah.
Yeay, selamat. Berapa lama nih Kak persiapan sama latihannya?
Untuk persiapannya kita sekitar 2 minggu sebelum lomba nih.
Berarti termasuk cepat ya?
Ya, karena itu infonya juga dadakan banget.
Keren tapi ya, akhirnya dapat juara ya, keren. Kakak minat kegiatan ini sejak kapan Kak?
Kalau untuk saya sendiri minatnya dari SD dan difokuskannya baru pas SMP lomba-lomba gitu.
Wah, udah dari SD ya minatnya ya, keren. Dan sekarang alhamdulillah udah juara. Kira-kira ada apa atau sesuatu atau siapa gitu yang memotivasi kakak untuk semangat dan siap mengikuti lomba ini?
Tentunya dari Pembina Paskibra sendiri dan teman-teman juga udah nge-support, terus keluarga juga dan pasukan juga.
Wah, supportive banget, teamwork ya. Ada prestasi lain nggak kak yang pernah kakak raih?
Juara variasi formasi 1, terus juara kostum terbaik 1, dan juara pasukan terbaik 2.
Woi, banyak juga. Kalau misalnya dapat kesempatan untuk ikut lomba lagi, kira-kira kakak mau nggak?
Wah, gue mau dong, karena bisa bekerja sama dengan teman-teman yang asik banget dan seru banget juga.
Wow, terima kasih. Oke, thank you so much kakak telah mengikuti tanya jawab dari kami. Terima kasih waktunya dan tetap semangat ya kak.
Terima kasih.
Halo kakak. Boleh perkenalkan namanya kak dan jelaskan prestasi yang kakak raih?
Nama aku Piazza Fauzia. Aku menang juara 2 Bangsa individual di Taekwondo One Kota Edu. Oke, nama aku Tanang Putri. Aku juga menang turnamen wali kota Depok. Kejuaraan game.
Wih, keren banget. Tepuk tangannya dulu dong guys. Gimana nih kak perasaannya setelah mulai juara-juara tersebut?
Alhamdulillah senang, tapi aku pribadi kurang merasa puas karena sebenarnya bisa lebih dapat pencapaian lagi di next kejuaraan. Aku juga sedih sih dan bangga ya karena bisa dapat prestasi itu, tapi juga ada ide-ide karena dia bisa dapat emas.
Semangat terus ya kak, dan udah keren banget itu loh kak. Berapa lama nih kak persiapan dan latihannya?
Kalau lebih 2 sampai
Berarti lumayan lama ya?
sama sih karena
Kalau boleh tahu, kakak udah minat sama kegiatan kakak ini tuh udah dari kapan kak?
kalau aku di kelas 1 SMP sih. Kalau aku masih baru karena baru mulai pas awal SMA.
Oh berarti kakak dari 1 SMP kakak baru akhir-akhir ini ya berarti ya. Kira-kira siapa nih kak? Ada sesuatu kah atau siapa yang memotivasi kakak-kakak untuk semangat dan siap mengikuti lomba ini kak?
Pastinya keluarga aku yang support aku banget sih dari awal kegiatan, dan juga teman-teman aku yang banyak bantu pas lagi. Yang paling pertama udah pasti aku ya, karena kalau kakak teman gue juga dia kasih juga dan teman-teman aku yang semangatin terus sih.
Wow, very supportive and teamwork, yes. Oh. Ada prestasi lain nggak kak yang kakak raih selain prestasi ini?
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon everyone. Welcome to today's Pesat Literation.
Before we start, let's thank our God for all the blessing and grace has been bestowed upon us.
And to the Honorable Mr. Dr. Agus Rohiman MPD and Mr. Dr. Iwan Cakrayana STMSC. And to our honorable teachers and beloved friends.
Welcome to the show where we delve into the world of literation. Examining one book at a time, I'm your host Jasmine and my partner Zahra. We're here to guide you.
Hi guys, how are you? Hope you all are doing well and in good health.
Wow, it feels like it's been such a long time since we had a Saturday literation, even though it was just yesterday.
Yes, I know, right? So, what's our second literation for today, Mine?
It's a book called I Want to Die but I Want to Eat Tteokbokki that are going to be presented by our friends Alika and Almira.
Wow, that sounds exciting. I'm interested what this book will talk about. Should we just pass our audience to our friends?
I'm also intrigued, and yes, absolutely. Alika and Admira, the stage is for you.
Okay, thank you so much, Jasmine and also Zahra. So I want to share an overview of the book. So the novel I want to dive, but I want to eat tteokbokki. It's written by a South Korean writer, Baek Se-hee, a 129-born woman who graduated from literature department and worked at one of the publishers, who had been suffering from post-admit depression for 10 years and anxiety disorders. Through this book, the author wants to share her experience honestly, how she feels not okay, then ask for expert advice. Then try to get up and try to heal herself. Baek Se-hee wants to tell the readers that in the end we just need to love ourselves a little more.
Okay, wow, it's crazy how this book carries such a heavy topic with such an interesting title. Well, now since you guys are finished presenting, we'll jump into the. It's time for you. I'm sorry. This book, from the title, is such an interesting title. So let's just jump into the presenting.
Okay, so let's start from week 1. Okay, so chapter 1, week 1. Slightly depressed. So he first meet her psychiatrist because she felt something was wrong with herself. She experiences constant anxiety, often feeling inferior, and has difficulty living her daily life, even though she looks fine from the outside. So he ever said, "I don't know why do I feel this way. I have no specific reason to be sad, but I always feel empty." Psychiatrist said, "Have you been going through this for a long time?" "Yes, I don't even remember the last time I was really happy." Psychiatrist began asking about various aspects of Sihi's life, including her work, social relationship, and how she handled stress. Sihi reveals that she often feels anxious about how others view her, and that makes her exhausted. Sihi ever said, "I always think about how other people sees me. I'm afraid to get disappointed." Psychiatrist said, "You feel you should always be perfect in the eyes of the others?" "Yes, if I'm not fun, they'll probably leave me." In this first week, Sihi began to realize that her mindset about social relationship and expectation of herself contributed greatly to her condition. The psychiatrist recommends that she begin to encourage her feelings to observe the negative mindset that appears in her daily life.
Then we move on to week 2. Am I a pathological liar? So he started noticing how she always tries to please others, even if it means sacrificing herself. He told the psychiatrist that he often forced himself to be friendly and cheerful, even thought he felt tired in his heart. So he said, "I'm afraid if I don't always have fun, people will start to get away from me." And then her psychiatrist said, "Did it ever really happen?" So he answered, "Not directly, but I feel like they'll be disappointed if I don't become what they expect me to be." Psychiatrists point out that this fear may have stemmed from past experience, in which Sahi felt she had to get validation from others to feel valuable. This week, he begins to try to pay more attention to himself. What we want, not just what others want from him. However, it was still difficult for her because she felt guilty if she did not meet the expectation of those around her.
Okay, let's go to the week 3. So, week 3, I'm under constant surveillance. In the third week, he realized how often she wears a mask of happiness in front of others. She always puts a smile and tries to be a cheerful figure, but when alone, she feels empty and empty. Say, "I've ever pretending to be happy for too long. I don't even know what it like to be honest about my feelings." Psychiatrist said, Why do you feel you have to pretend? I don't want to be a burden to anyone else. If I show them my grief, I fear they will feel uncomfortable." Psychiatrists emphasize that the negative emotions are a natural part of life, and there's nothing wrong with the feeling. Psychiatrist, you don't always have to be happy to be accepted by others. Those who truly care about you will accept you for whoever you are. This week, Say starts crying, not to always force herself to smile if she's not feeling well. She started trying to be more honest about her feelings, even though it was still hard. Okay, let's go to the week 4. Wanting to be special isn't that special. After several sessions of therapy, the psychiatrist suggested that Zahi try to take antidepressant to help stabilize her mood. She hesitated because she felt that relying on medicine meant that she was weak. Saying, I don't want to rely on drugs. I want to be able to handle this on my own. Drugs don't change who you are. It only helps you to manage your emotions more stably, Zahi said. But what if I have to drink this forever? Well, see how it goes. Medicine is only one part of a healing process. Zahi finally agrees to try the drug, although she still feels anxious about how it will affect her. After a few days, she began to feel a slight change. She no longer experienced a drastic surge of emotion, although she still felt a void in her.
Then, week 5, that got them self-esteem. After taking antidepressants, Zahi begins to experience feeling of guilt. He felt that if she had to rely on medicine to feel better, it meant something was wrong with her. Zahi said, I feel like I should be able to handle this without the help of medicine. Why should I rely on something I'm not myself? Psychiatrist said, why do you think that? Zahi said, because many other people can live a life without drugs, but I can't. Psychiatrists explain that mental health is not different from physical health. If a person has a chronic disease and needs medication to maintain his or her balance, is it not a weakness? It is a form of self-care. Psychiatrist said, if someone has diabetes and needs insulin, does that mean they are weak? So he answered, no, of course not. And then psychiatrist answered, then why should mental health be treated differently? So he began to understand that using drugs doesn't mean she failed. It's a tool that helps her to cope better with life. Although he was still in pain, she began to accept that this was part of her healing process.
Go on to the week 6. This week, Zahi started talking about her fear of the future. She wasn't sure if she could continue living her life. Zahi, I'm afraid that I'll never be truly happy. What if I have to live this life with this feeling forever? Psychiatrist said, what makes you think this is going to go on forever? Because I can see how I get out of this feeling. Every time I feel better, the feeling comes back. Psychiatrists explained that healing is a linear process. There were good days and bad days, but that doesn't mean that she didn't make any progress. Psychiatrist said, think about it. Are there any little moments where you're feeling a little better than before? Yes, maybe when I eat a food or when I can sleep better. Psychiatrist said, that's a sign that these bad feelings aren't permanent. There will be better days. So he began to understand that even though she didn't know what's going to happen in the future, it doesn't mean that everything will go on bad.
Then we move on to week 7, regulating, judging, disappointed living. So he begins to realize that although she is surrounded by friends and co-workers, she often feels lonely. She felt that she wasn't really connected to people around her. So he said, I have a friend, I have a job, but I still feel lonely. Then psychiatrist asked, do you feel like they don't care about you? So he answered, that's not it, but I feel like I can really open up to them. I'm afraid they won't understand. The psychiatrist suggests that Zahi tried to share her feelings little by little with the people she trusts. Psychiatrist said, maybe you can start by walking to the one person you think best understands your feeling. Zahi asked, but what if they judge? Psychiatrist answered, then that means they're not the right people for you. But if they really care, they'll listen. So he starts trying to be more honest with her feeling, even though it's still hard.
Week 8, medication side effect. In this week, Sehi talked how she always feels not good enough. She often compares herself to others and feels that she always loses. Sehi: I feel I've never been good enough. No matter how hard I try, there are always someone better than me. Psychiatrist said, why do you feel you have to be the best? Because if I'm not good enough, then I'm worthless. Psychiatrists explain that person grades are not determined by how successful or perfect they are. Psychiatrist: even if friends don't succeed in something, do you think they're worthless? Of course not. I still care about them. Psychiatrist said, then why can you not apply the same thing to yourself? The chapter ends with Sehi beginning to question the high standards she set for herself and tries to accept more than she quite valuable as she is.
Then, week 9, obsession with appearance and histrionic personality disorder. In this week, Sohee began talking about her fear that if someone else knows about her condition, they will see it in different ways. So he said, I'm afraid if I'm honest about my depression, people will judge. They will see me as a weak person or a troublemaker. Psychiatrist said, what makes you think so? So he said, because stigma. Many people think that depression is just because less graceful or less effort. The psychiatrist admitted that stigma of mental health is still there. But it doesn't mean so he must hide himself forever. Psychiatrist said, you don't have to tell everyone, but you don't need to feel ashamed because having this mental health is important with physical health. So he began thinking that there might be people who can understand and support her if she gave them a change.
Week 10. Why anyone like me if I was like this? So he spoke about her fear of failure and how she always felt to do everything perfect. So every time I made a mistake, I feel like the world will collapse. I kept repeating it in my head, feel ashamed and think that others will never forget it. Psychiatrist: why do you always feel that mistake so big? Because I don't want to disappoint anyone. I want to be one who can rely on. Her psychiatrist explained that the mistake is a natural part of life, and no one can live without making mistakes. Psychiatrist: do you remember a little mistake made friend on your colleague 1 year? No, I can't even remember it. And why don't you think that someone else will keep remembering your mistakes? So he realized that she was too hard to herself. She started thinking, and maybe she could learn to forgive herself, like her forgiveness and herself, like she forgive.
Then, week 11, I don't look pretty. So he felt that she had lived based on other people's expectation, not based on what she really wants. So I'm always trying to meet other people's standards, but I don't know what I really want for myself. Psychiatrist said, have you ever tried to listen to yourself? What makes you happy? So he said, I don't know, maybe when I eat the food or when I get a good night's sleep. But other than that, I don't know what I really want in my life. Her psychiatrist suggests that Sehi start exploring herself without the pressure of having to achieve something. Psychiatrist said, sometimes we're so busy meeting other people's expectations that we forget to ask ourselves, what do I really want? Try to find the answer slowly. This chapter ends with Sehi starting to try understand herself better.
Last chapter, week 12, from the deepest. Within this week, Sehi began to understand that self-acceptance is a long process. She realized that there is no instant solution to feeling better. With every little step she takes is a part of a healing process. Sehi: I may never fully recover, but I want to learn to live with myself without constantly feeling guilty or not good enough. Psychiatrist: that's a big step up. Healing is not about being perfect, but about learning to accept yourself with all the advantages and disadvantages. This chapter shows great development in the way Sehi sees herself. She still has difficult days, but she is no longer feel that she has to fight her feelings alone. Okay, and the last chapter is the conclusion.
Then we go to conclusion, Sehi's reflection. After a series of therapy sessions, Sehi begins sharing her reflection on her journey in the face of depression and anxiety. She talked about how she learned to accept that life doesn't always have to be perfect, that happiness doesn't have to be ultimate goal, but something that comes in little moments. She also realized that she didn't always need to please others or pretend to be happy. She began to accept that her feelings were valid and that it was okay to ask for help when she needed it.
The book ends with Sei still struggling, but now with a better understanding of herself. She no longer sees herself as a broken woman, but as someone who is still in the process of growing and learning. This is a complete summary from week 1 till week 12 based on the contents of the book.
Oh, that sounds amazing presentation from Almira and Alika.
It's a surprise this book carried a heavy topic with a unique title. I mean, who would have thought about I want to die, but I want to eat tteokbokki as a title? Well, now since you guys are finished presenting, we'll jump into the Q&A section. Don't forget to comment your question on YouTube live comment, and the first 3 lucky commenters will be the question will be asked to our presenters here. Okay, so I guess we'll gonna wait for a little. Anzana, do you have a question for our presenter?
Yes, I have a question for you guys. How does the author use food, particularly tteokbokki, as a symbol for the protagonist's emotional and mental state throughout the story?
Okay, thank you so much for the question. So, the book title itself, Yes, I Want to Die But I Want to Eat Tteokbokki, captures the protagonist's conflicting emotions. It encapsulates the idea that even in her darkest and deepest moments, there are still a small desire that led her to live. While she struggles with existing despair, she craving for tteokbokki symbolizes a lingering attachment to ordinary pleasure, however fleeting they may be.
Okay, thank you for the answer, Almira. Jasmine?
There's a question. Turns out from Gazi, I think it's from our class. Now this is just, he said, now this is just asking for your personal opinion. The book mentions things about antidepressant to feel happy. How would you guys respond if one of your friends is doing the same?
If you
I'll respond. If our friends
If one of your friends use antidepressants to feel happy, how would you respond? If one of your friends do?
Oh, that's quite
Okay, so
good question.
my
Okay.
opinion, if they wanna use antidepressant for feeling happy is no, because we're still teenagers. We cannot use antidepressant for feeling happy. But if we wanna use like
Antidepressant.
more than 11 years old, 18 years old, maybe you could, but not really. What is it?
That's
Not. I mean, like you mustn't rely on antidepressant to feel happy. You could consult to a psychiatrist or a doctor maybe. So I think for using antidepressant for just being happy is a no. But in my personal opinion.
Okay, thank you. So the next question is from Rachel Valencia. How did reading I Want to Die But I Want to Eat Tteokbokki make you feel, and did you relate to any part of the author's experience?
yes, of course. When we're reading the book, it's based on the author experience, right? When we read and we feel like we join to their story, because The story is.
It's okay. It's okay, Alika.
I think what Alika meant is when we watch the story, we could feel the same as the writer, because as a teenager we have a lot of moments that we think we cannot do, and that would make us feel depressed. And I think the writer's story is same as mostly people and teenagers in Indonesia, because despite a lot of things that they must do in their teenage years, they must be often really feel so depressed or like that. So that's the thing that Alika maybe meant.
Okay.
Thank you. And seems like there's no more questions from the user comment section, but I have one last final question for you guys. In the chapter 11 titled I Don't Look Pretty, that talk about the protagonist reflects on her struggle with self-image and the societal pressure that make her feel inadequate. In these day and age, many girls all around the world also struggles with self-image and insecurity. What advice would you give after reading this book to all the girls that are watching this podcast, or anyone even that struggle with this problem?
Okay, so tips for me, I would like to say to all of the girls in this world, all of people, if they feeling, what is it? Insecure, to listen to yourself and don't ever listen to yourself without judgment. I mean, you must do whatever you want. You cannot hear people. You cannot judge yourself, and you must you must do. I mean, like, you just must do whatever you want, and don't let people judge you.
You must believe with
You
yourself.
must believe with yourself. And then
And love yourself
second
too.
one is start small. Like, find joy in simple things. Like this story. I want to eat tteokbokki. Even though she's depressed, she still find tteokbokki is something that she like, and I cannot die because I really like tteokbokki. Yeah.
I love tteokbokki.
I
cannot die now.
Yeah.
I still want to eat tteokbokki.
Yeah, I cannot die now because
Symbolism.
because there's still tteokbokki in this world.
Yeah, that's the things that makes me happy still exist in this world. So I cannot leave the world now.
Okay.
Thank you so much
Okay,
for
thank
the
you,
answer.
Almira and Alika, for amazing presentation and amazing topic.
Yes, the answers are great too. Okay, so I guess this is the end of our Pesat Literation.
Thank you for you guys.
Thank you for watching, listening, and paying attention to this Pesat Literation. And yeah, see you on the next Pesat Literation section. Okay, bye and thank you.
Bye.
Jadi kali ini kita akan tanya jawab sama siswa-siswi berprestasi dari sekolah kita nih. Boleh kenalan dulu nggak sama penonton, namanya siapa dan prestasinya?
Halo semua, kenalin nama aku Aji Lisa. Dan kemarin itu aku dapet juara 2 lomba panjang di salah satu organisasi Bekasi.
Wih, gimana perasaannya setelah meraih juara tersebut?
Alhamdulillah kayak ngerasa seneng banget dan bangga sama diri aku sendiri.
Berapa lama nih persiapannya sama latihannya kira-kira kalau mau tahu?
Kalau nggak salah aku itu udah mulai latihan dari hari Selasa, jadi sekitar 4 hari.
Wah, keren juga ya. Sejak kapan kamu minat sama kegiatan ini?
Kalau buat kaligrafinya aku baru minat akhir-akhir ini, tapi kalau buat menggambarnya aku udah minat dari TK.
Masya Allah. Wow, that's great. That's really great. Kira-kira siapa nih yang memotivasi kamu untuk semangat dan siap mengikuti lomba ini?
Kalau yang motivasi aku itu sebenarnya diri aku sendiri, tapi aku dapat support dari keluarga aku.
Masya Allah. Ada prestasi lain nggak kira-kira yang perlu kamu raih selain prestasi ini?
Ada, aku pernah lomba modeling dan aku juga pernah lomba menggambar.
Wih, keren juga ya. Kalau dapat kesempatan untuk lomba lagi nih, kira-kira mau ikut lagi nggak?
pastinya mau.
Wih, terima kasih banyak sudah mengikuti tanya jawab dari kami. Terima kasih atas waktunya dan tetap dan terus semangat ya. Halo Kak, boleh perkenalkan namanya siapa dan prestasi apa yang telah Kakak raih?
Halo semuanya, nama aku Kanista Dita. Aku mendapat penghargaan sebagai the Best Vice President of Finance dalam kompetisi Regional Student Competition.
Keren banget. Gimana nih Kak, perasaan Kakak setelah meraih kejuaraan tersebut?
Perasaan aku setelah memenangkan dan mendapat penghargaan dari dalam prestasi ini, aku senang banget karena perjuangan aku selama beberapa bulan terakhir itu akhirnya terbayarkan.
Masya Allah. Berapa lama nih Kak persiapan sama latihannya kira-kira?
Persiapan aku dalam mengikuti lomba ini itu sekitar 3-4 bulan.
Lama juga ya Kak berarti ya?
Iya betul.
Kalau boleh tahu Kak, Kakak dari kapan nih minat sama kegiatan ini?
Aku niat kegiatan ini itu dari 3-5 bulan sebelum lomba ini karena aku disosialisasikan oleh guru ekonomi.
Wah, lama juga ya saat selama tadi latihannya ya? Kira-kira ada nggak Kak siapa atau apa yang memotivasi Kakak untuk semangat dan siap mengikuti lomba ini?
Hal yang memotivasi aku itu yang pertama teman-teman satu tim aku, dan kedua guru dan mentor-mentor yang membimbing aku selama persiapan lomba.
Wow, very supportive. The teamwork, yes. Kakak ada prestasi lain nggak ya selain prestasi ini?
Sebelumnya aku juga pernah memenangkan dan mendapat penghargaan dalam kompetisi lomba silat dan lomba poster nasional.
Wow, that's amazing.
Kalau dapat kesempatan untuk ikut lomba lagi, kira-kira kakak mau ikut nggak?
Mau banget dong, karena dengan mengikuti lomba itu melatih kita untuk memiliki jiwa saling kompetitif.
Wow, that was great. Thank you so much kakak for joining us today.
Semangat terus ya Kak.
Terima kasih.
Nah, Kak boleh perkenalan dulu dan lomba apa yang Kakak berhasil raih atau prestasinya?
Halo, nama aku Jawar dari Bangsa. Aku juara lomba dari Best Gamification of yang diadakan oleh University.
Berarti ini berhubungan dengan IT ya Kak ya?
Iya betul, berhubungan dengan IT.
Gimana nih Kak perasaannya setelah meraih juara tersebut?
Kalau perasaannya setelah meraih juara tersebut sih senang ya tentunya ya, karena ini lomba yang benar-benar kita pengenin, berhubungan dengan IT dan game juga, itu lomba passion aku lah.
Berarti senangnya dari passion akhirnya berpenghasilan?
Iya betul.
Berapa lama nih Kak kalau boleh tahu persiapannya kira-kira?
Kalau persiapannya sih sekitaran 1 bulan ya, dari pembuatan desainnya, lalu perancangannya itu 1 bulanan. Terus setelah pengumuman finalisasi 10 besar, kita latihan presentasi karena kita mempresentasikan hasil karya rancangan game tersebut di sekitaran 1 bulan lah.
Wah, berarti itu termasuk cepat atau lama nih Kak?
Kalau buat rancangan ini sih termasuk sedang-sedang lah.
Keren. Kakak udah dari kapan nih Kak minat sama soal game dan pembuatan game begini Kak?
Kalau pembuatan game sih dari kelas 2 SMP ya. Tapi kalau buat suka main game ini dari SD dan kecil emang udah suka main game. Terus mulai fokus ke pembuatan game itu udah dari SMA ini karena udah ada kapasitasnya nih untuk menuju pembelajaran gitu lah. Kayak kita udah ada tempat buat kita belajar pembuatan game ini.
Wah, keren banget ya dari suka main game akhirnya bisa bikin game sendiri.
Iya.
Keren banget. Kira-kira siapa nih Kak? Apakah ada siapa atau mungkin ada yang memotivasi Kakak untuk semangat dan siap mengikuti lomba ini Kak?
Yang pastinya sih orang tua ya, karena orang tua selalu support apapun yang aku pengen aku ikutin. Terus yang kedua ada teman-teman dari organisasi, ada khususnya di RPL sendiri ada pembina RPL, ada Pak dan Pak yang selalu support dan kasih masukan atas apapun yang aku lakuin. Ada teman-teman juga yang udah ngebantuin, terutama teman Zidar itu udah ngebantuin membuat PT. Terus ada teman-teman dari kelas juga udah kasih support buat selalu maju ke depan, buat semangatin terus saat lomba, dan khususnya buat poin kelas ini udah selalu tanya saat lomba terus bagaimana hasilnya lancar atau enggak.
Wah, berarti banyak banget ya bantuan dan supportnya ya. Wah, jadi terharu deh. Kakak ada prestasi lain nggak selain prestasi dari lomba ini?
Kalau aku sih nggak tahu ya ini termasuk prestasi atau enggak. Tapi menurut aku apapun hasilnya itu menurut aku prestasi.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone.
First of all, let us give thanks to God who has given us the blessing and health so that we can meet at today's podcast. Let's not forget the salawat and salam to our great prophet, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Before starting the program, it would be nice for me to introduce myself to all of you. My name is Terimakasih and I'm from 11 Pioneer, who will be the host for today's podcast, and with my partner,
I'm Marsha Farika from 11 Pioneer, who will be hosting for today's podcast as well.
Okay, to the Honorable Principal of Senior High School of Pluspegeri Cibinong, and to the Honorable English Teacher of Senior High School of Pluspegeri Cibinong, to the Honorable All Teacher of Senior High School of Pluspegeri Cibinong, and to the Honorable Parents who are watching this podcast and beloved friends who are watching and participating in this podcast. Welcome back to Pesat Literation. Okay. Hello everyone, I'm back again on Pesat Literation podcast show. How are you all? And I hope y'all in a happy state.
But before we start, do you all know what is Pesat Literation?
I don't think everyone knows what Pesat Literation is. Maybe, can you explain to the audience what Pesat Literation is, Marcia?
Of course, I will explain what is Pesat Literation to all of you. Pesat Literation is a podcast show about presenting a book that has been written by the student of Peggy Plus Senior High School students. The books are varied. It can be novels, education, sport, health, psychology, history, and much more.
That sounds very useful. I'm very curious about the book that will be presented by the groups on today's podcast.
That's right, Tara. I'm also curious about that.
Okay, so today's podcast starts with a presentation from Group 1, who will be presenting a book they've read. The title is Great Wars and Great Leaders, a libertarian rebuttal by Ralph Rico.
So without any further ado, let's start today's podcast.
So please welcome Group 1.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. Today we embark on a journey through history, one that will challenge your understanding of war, power, and leadership. Welcome to Great Wars and Great Leaders, Part 1. Next slide, please. And next slide. World War I was not just another war. It was a pivotal event that reshaped the modern world. Millions of lives were lost, empires crumbled, governments transformed forever. But was it a war that had to be fought, or the result of pride, unchecked ambition, and tragic miscalculation? The Great War set the stage for future conflict. The Treaty of Versailles, instead to secure peace, instead paved the way for totalitarian regimes and another world war. Next slide, please. Second is Winston Churchill. Winston Churchill, a name synonymous with resilience, but was he truly the hero history portrays? Churchill's leadership during World War II was legendary, but his policies left lasting consequences. From the Bengal famine to colonial rule, his legacy is one of both inspiration and controversy. Next. Part 3 is Harry Truman, the revolutionary decision. Hiroshima and Nagasaki. When Harry S. Truman authorized the atomic bombings, the world changed forever. Did he end a war or begin a new one? The Cold War followed igniting global paranoia and nuclear fear. Truman's decision remains one of history's most debated moments. And next, part 4 is Marxist dreams and Soviet realities. The Soviet Union promised equality, but reality told a darker story. Under Stalin purges, starvation and oppressions replaced the dream of a Marxist utopia. Was this the destiny of Marxism or a distortion of its ideals?
Next slide, please. Blaming Germany. Is it fair? After World War II, Germany became history's villain. But were they the only ones guilty? While Germany was condemned, other nations escaped accountability for their war crimes. Is history truly fair, or is it written only by the victors? Next slide. America shifting foreign policy. From isolation to global superpower, how did the US become the world policeman? Was it noble duty or a strategy for dominance? Vietnam, the Middle East. Did US interventions create peace or chaos? Next slide. Starving a nation into submission. War isn't always fought with bullets. Britain's World War I blockade of Germany caused mass suffering. Civilians were its victims. Was it strategic warfare or a crime against humanity? Next slide. Retelling the Great War. History is more than facts. It's perspective. Have we been told the felt truth, or only what victors want us to believe? Today, we question traditional narratives and uncover hidden histories. Next slide.
And the conclusion is
war, power, truth, lies. History teach if we question it. As you live, think critically, read beyond textbooks, seek the truth. Question, analyze, reflect. Thank you.
Alright, thank you so much for Group 1. So from the presentation, we can know more about history of the World War I and World War II. What an interesting book, right?
That's right, Marcia. I want to read that book truly.
Yeah, so we have finished watching the Group 1 presentation, but we're not done yet. After this, there will be a question and answer session.
Yes, of course. So don't go anywhere. For all of you who are still curious about the content of the book and want to ask questions, you are very welcome to ask questions in the Q&A session.
And now, let's begin
The Q&A session. Okay. Also, for all of you who want to ask questions are very welcome. You can put your question in the comment box of this live stream.
Okay, so now I will read the question from one of our friends. It is from Gazi. It is mentioned in the book that these wars are two of the deadliest. My question is, what do you think is the deadliest battles of these wars?
Can you repeat the question?
Okay, I will repeat it again. It is mentioned in the book that these wars are two of the deadliest war. My question is, what do you think is the deadliest battle of this war?
Okay, wait. Okay, I will answer the. Okay, wait. Can you repeat once more?
Okay, so the question is, what do you think is the deadliest battle of this war? The most deadliest.
Okay.
The death.
I think is Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Okay, that's the Cold War followed, igniting global paranoia and nuclear fear. And yeah, that is the big war.
Okay. So I'm gonna read the next question from our friend Rafael Oswald. It's what major treaty meant to ensure peace after World War I is mentioned for contributing to future conflict?
Okay, for the question, I'm gonna answer it. The Treaty of Versailles. It imposed harsh penalties on Germany, causing economic collapse and resentment that led to World War II. I think that's all the answer.
Now we will continue to the third question from Alifa. What is the main book? What is the main idea of this book?
Wait. This book tell about the author, and the author is in his when he child he lived in World War.
Okay, that's really interesting.
Okay, so we have another question from Evan Fernanda. Which British leader is discussed for both his leadership during World War II and his controversial policies?
Please, maybe you can repeat it.
Okay, so which British leader is discussed for both his leadership during World War II and his controversial policies?
Okay, I think the answer is Winston Churchill. It is famous for leading Britain during World War II, but criticized for colonial policy and his role in the Bengal famine.
Okay. And now let's moving on to the next question from Rafael Oswald again. What type of warfare besides battles did Britain use against Germany during World War I?
Okay, I will answer that. The answer is economic blockade. The blockade caused mass starvation in Germany, leading to civilian suffering and long-term resentment. Okay, that's all for the question.
Okay, I think that's all from Group 1. I hope the presentation from the Group 1 can be useful for all of us who is watching this podcast.
So, should we say goodbye to the audience, Marcia?
I think we should.
Okay, so that's all from us as the host today podcast. I'm Tarakan Skarayu, and with my partner,
Marcia Farika.
Goodbye, everyone. See you next time.
Jadi kali ini kita akan tanya jawab sama siswa-siswi berprestasi dari sekolah kita nih. Boleh kenalan dulu nggak sama penonton namanya siapa dan prestasi work?
Halo semua, kenalin nama aku Aidi Yakarisa. Dan kemarin itu aku dapet juara 2 lomba panjang di salah satu organisasi di Bekasi.
Wih, gimana perasaannya setelah meraih juara tersebut?
Alhamdulillah kayak ngerasa seneng banget dan bangga sama diri aku sendiri.
Berapa lama nih persiapannya sama latihannya kira-kira kalau gue tahu?
Kalau nggak salah aku itu udah mulai latihan dari hari Selasa, jadi sekitar 4 hari.
Wah, keren juga ya. Sejak kapan kamu minat sama kegiatan ini?
Kalau buat kaligrafinya aku baru minat akhir-akhir ini, tapi kalau buat menggambarnya aku udah minat dari TK.
Masya Allah. Wow, that's great. That's really great. Kira-kira siapa nih yang memotivasi kamu untuk semangat dan siap mengikuti lomba ini?
Kalau yang motivasi aku itu sebenarnya diri aku sendiri, tapi aku dapat support dari keluarga aku.
Masya Allah. Ada prestasi lain nggak kira-kira yang pernah kamu raih selain prestasi ini?
Ada. Aku pernah lomba modeling dan aku juga pernah lomba menggambar.
Wih, keren juga ya. Kalau dapat kesempatan untuk lomba lagi nih, kira-kira mau ikut lagi nggak?
Pastinya mau.
Wih, terima kasih banyak sudah mengikuti tanya jawab dari kami. Terima kasih atas waktunya dan tetap dan terus semangat ya. boleh perkenalkan namanya siapa dan prestasi apa yang telah kakak raih? Halo semuanya, nama aku Kanisa Edita. Aku mendapat penghargaan sebagai the Best Vice President of Finance dalam kompetisi Regional Student Competition. Keren banget. Gimana nih kak, perasaan kakak setelah meraih kejuaraan tersebut? Perasaan aku setelah memenangkan dan mendapat penghargaan dari dalam prestasi ini, aku senang banget karena perjuangan aku selama beberapa bulan terakhir itu akhirnya terbayarkan. Masya Allah. Berapa lama nih kak persiapan sama latihannya kira-kira? Persiapan aku dalam mengikuti lomba ini itu sekitar 3-4 bulan. Lama juga ya kak berarti ya? Iya betul. Kalau buat tahu kak, kakak dari kapan nih minat sama kegiatan ini? Aku minat kegiatan ini itu dari 3-5 bulan sebelum lomba ini karena aku disosialisasikan oleh guru ekonomi. Wah, lama juga ya selama tadi latihannya ya. Kira-kira ada nggak kak siapa atau apa yang memotivasi kakak untuk semangat dan siap mengikuti lomba ini? Hal yang memotivasi aku itu yang pertama teman-teman satu tim aku, dan kedua guru dan mentor-mentor yang membimbing aku selama persiapan lomba. Wow, very supportive. The teamwork, yes. Kakak ada prestasi lain nggak ya selain prestasi ini? Sebelumnya aku juga pernah memenangkan dan mendapat penghargaan dalam kompetisi lomba silat dan lomba poster nasional. Wow, that's amazing. Kalau dapat kesempatan untuk ikut lomba lagi, kira-kira kakak mau ikut nggak? Mau banget dong, karena dengan mengikuti lomba itu melatih kita untuk memiliki jiwa saling kompetitif. Wow, that was great. Thank you so much kakak for joining us today. Semangat terus ya kak. Terima kasih. Nah, kak boleh perkenalan dulu dan lomba apa yang kakak berhasil raih atau prestasinya?
Halo, nama aku Jawar dari Bangsa. Aku juara Tokyo dari Best Game Application Literation of Creative Media yang diadakan oleh University.
Berarti ini berhubungan dengan IT ya kak ya?
Iya betul, berhubungan dengan IT.
Gimana nih kak perasaannya setelah meraih juara tersebut?
Kalau perasaannya setelah meraih juara tersebut sih senang ya tentunya ya, karena ini lomba yang benar-benar kita pengenin, kan berhubungan dengan IT dan game juga, itu lomba passion aku banget.
Berarti senangnya dari passion akhirnya berpenghasilan?
Iya betul.
Berapa lama nih kak kalau boleh tahu persiapannya kira-kira?
Kalau persiapannya sih sekitaran 1 bulan ya, dari pembuatan desainnya, lalu perancangannya itu 1 bulanan. Terus setelah pengumuman finalisasi 10 besar, kita latihan presentasi karena kita mempresentasikan hasil karya rancangan game tersebut di sekitaran 1 bulan lah. Wah,
berarti itu termasuk cepat atau lama nih kak?
Kalau buat rancangan ini sih termasuk sedang-sedang lah.
Keren. Kakak udah dari kapan nih kak minat sama soal game dan pembuatan game begini kak?
Kalau pembuatan game sih dari kelas 2 SMP ya. Tapi kalau buat suka main game ini dari SD dan kecil emang udah suka main game. Terus mulai fokus ke pembuatan game itu udah dari SMA ini karena udah ada kompetensi jadi untuk menunjang pembelajaran gitu lah. Kayak kita udah ada tempat buat kita belajar pembuatan game ini.
Wah, keren banget ya, dari suka main game akhirnya bisa bikin game sendiri.
Iya.
Keren banget. Kira-kira siapa nih kak? Apakah ada siapa atau mungkin ada yang memotivasi kakak untuk semangat dan siap mengikuti lomba ini kak?
Yang pastinya sih orang tua ya, karena orang tua selalu support apapun yang aku pengen aku ikutin. Terus yang kedua ada teman-teman dari organisasi, ada khususnya dari RPL sendiri, ada pembina RPL, ada PENDAFTARAAN yang selalu support dan kasih masukan atas apapun yang aku lakuin. Ada teman-teman juga yang udah ngebantuin, terutama teman Zida nih udah ngebantuin membuat PT. Terus ada teman-teman dari kelas juga udah kasih support buat selalu maju ke depan, buat semangatin terus saat lomba, dan terkhususnya buat wali kelas ini selalu tanya saat lomba terus bagaimana hasilnya, lancar atau enggak.
Wah, berarti banyak banget ya bantuan dan supportnya ya. Wah, jadi terharu deh. Kakak ada prestasi lain nggak selain prestasi dari lomba ini?
Kalau